Welcome! We are the Fortman Foundation, and our mission is to identify and assist racial/ethnic minorities with becoming well-adjusted and fully contributing members of the workforce through financial literacy, community outreach, and entrepreneurship. Our vision is to provide a spiritual anchor for young adults. Throughout this series, you will have a 5-minute video summary of each of our Gear Up articles that will touch on different topics pertaining to the young adults, which include financial freedom, spiritual disciplines, mental health, relationships, and eternal perspectives. Now, let's dive right into the article.
Hello, my name is Ure, and today I'll be talking about the letter L in the acronym ETERNAL, for this section, Eternal Perspectives. We're going to start off with the verse 2 Corinthians 5:14-15. Either way, Christ's love controls us. Since we believe that Christ died for all of us, we also believe that we all have died to our old life. He died for everyone so that those who believe in his new life will no longer live for themselves. Instead, they will live for Christ who died and raised up for them. 1 Corinthians 13:3 says, I gave everything I have to the poor and even sacrificed my body. I could boast about that. But if I didn't love others, I would have gained nothing. Love is our motivation. Do you give services because you want to gain something or because you are repaying good? Hear what Jesus has to say in Matthew 6:3. But when you give to someone in need, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Give your gifts in private, and your Father in heaven, who sees everything, will reward you. He also taught not to do good to only those who are good to us, but to everyone, especially those in the family of Christ. That's in Matthew 5:44-46 and Galatians 6:10. Love should be our motivation in our service to God and to humanity. A lot of times people serve because they want to be seen as good, or they're in competition with other people to be seen as the best. When it comes to our service to God, the Bible teaches that love should be our motivation. Love births the most life-changing sacrifices and service that we can give to humanity. The greatest sacrifice made for humanity was when God gave his son Jesus to die for our sins, and his love for man was the motivation behind this. This is known in John 3:16, the verse that says, For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. With love being our motivation, we should look to Christ as our example for this love. In John 15:12-13 it says, This is my commandment, love each other in the same way I have loved you. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for a friend. So how did God love us? As believers, we do not define love by our own standard, but by God's standard. In Romans 5:8, we can see God's expression of love was not consequent to us being righteous and obedient. In 1 John 4:16, we see that God is love, and in Ephesians 2:4-5, we understand that his love is unconditional. Jesus is our example in expressing God's love. Learning of God's love and becoming more like Christ makes it easy to do all of God's desires for us and to please him. Finally, a great statement made by the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter. And now there remains these three: faith, abiding trust in God and his promises, hope, confident expectation of eternal salvation, love, unselfish love for others, growing out of God's love for us. But the greatest of these is love. Rephrased, it says, these three will last forever: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. If you ever have a question about how to love and how to do your work on this earth, you can always turn to God's sacrifice through Jesus, and you can also reference the chapter 1 Corinthians 13, specifically verses 4-8, where it describes what love is. I hope this helps you, and I hope that you go out in your life always leading with love.
That you enjoyed this summary and that you can apply everything that you learned from here today. Check us out at www.thefortmanfoundation.org for access to all of our Gear Up articles. If you are benefiting from all of our resources on here, feel free to share with a friend, a coworker, or a family member. It is very important to understand that the topics covered in all of our modules should be applied in the context of relationships, eternal perspectives, spiritual disciplines, financial freedom, and mental health. Finally, we want to leave you with these 5 important questions that will change your life. Do you have a spiritual belief? To you, who is Jesus? Do you think there is a heaven and a hell? If you die right now, where would you go? If what you believe were not true, would you want to know? Join the movement now and take charge of your life. We hope you have an awesome day. See you next time.